Hi, Nicholas here. Finally, we're going to learn to play a song. I'm going to show you how we use our ear to listen for the melody. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. So if you go over to my website, as I have here, so this is a course, Akousunesis School Lessons, Lesson 25. How to learn a melody by ear. So I'm going to teach you the process. But the first thing I want you to do before you watch the rest of this video is just go read the first section here, introduction and how our ears hear melody, because this video will go on too long if I explain all this to you. And so it's much easier for you just to read that. And then when you come back, you're in a better position. But we will go through the process here now, and then we've got an exercise that we're going to do, okay? And I'm going to show you with Microsoft Word, which is right here, and also here. I have to click over here as well. And we're going to do it together. So we're going to listen for a song. Oh, and we're also going to bring up the song, and I'm going to try to see if I get copyrighted. We'll only listen to a little bit at a time, and we'll work out the intervals. It's an easy song. It's just Elvis, right? Okay, so let's get going. So let's get back to the browser. So I've got a new format here, so I'm just going to get used to clicking things here. All right, the process. So the first thing we'll do, I'll just run through these steps, right? And these are all very important steps. So you can do it as quick as possible without wasting too much time. So firstly, we've got to pick a song that has a really well-defined melody, right, and doesn't have too much things going on, right? So we're learning to train our ear to hear the melody, okay? So when we listen to a song, right, what we're actually hearing, right, is pitch movement, relative pitch. Now, everyone says, oh, he's got absolute pitch and absolute pitch. That's really questionable because you might think someone has absolute pitch, but all you really need in your head is a reference note. And if you have a reference note in your head, then you can pick any note and it might appear to be absolute pitch. So absolute pitch might not even exist at all, because I know as a fact by me learning piano, and I know that what I'm hearing and what's important is that relative pitch interval movement. So you have a interval starts here, or a tone, a pitch starts here, right? A pitch, and then we move up an interval. Now it might be any amount of interval. It doesn't matter. So the intervals are in semitones. So it could be 5 semitones up, then a semitone down, then 3 semitones up, then 6 semitones down. So it does that, right? And sometimes it just stays in the same note too. That's what we hear, right, in our ear. Now, what we have to do, we are very good at doing this, right? We're very good at hearing these melodies. And, right, but what we want to do is want our hand to move in that direction, and that's what will happen. And you'll do this without even thinking about it. Your hand will move in that same, and your fingers will find the notes in that's what you can hear. And that happens subconsciously. There's no thinking about what interval it is or anything. Your hand will do that. So we call that the melodic interval series. And your fingers will move to the melodic interval series naturally, right? And that's what we want to train. That's what this approach is going to do. It's going to fast track that approach of learning to do that. Now, so that will come naturally as we're learning, but there's a process to it, okay? And this is the process, and I've outlined here. So all this information's on my website. Just go to the website and start reading, all right? And then come back to the video. Okay. So because our brain is very good at hearing this serial movement, right? And there's not much you need to do about it. What you do on the piano, you listen to a song, you listen to a melody, and because our brain is a serial device, one neuron connected to another, is once you find that first note, right, it's easier to find the rest of the notes because the actual melodies in your memory You've listened to the song, it's in your melody, in your memory. And when you find the first note, it triggers your brain to fill in the other notes inside your head, right? And then your fingers, we're just going to train our fingers to move to that melody, right? So, and this is how we're going to do it. So we listen to the melody a few times. We find that first note, right? Do not try to find melodies while this is another important point. When we're listening, right, to the song, we listen for just a few notes, then we turn the song off, and then we try to recall what we heard. We don't try to work it out while we're listening at the same time, okay? So you listen, turn it off, come back to the piano, then try to work it out. If you can't, right, go back, listen to it again, come back, try it. Listen to it again and try it. Now, you'll get better and better at this, and you'll find after about 10 songs or more, about 20 songs maybe, you're going to become very good at it, right? And you just put a little bit of time each week to it. Listen to the melody. Okay, you're trying to train your fingers to move, right? So we mentioned all that. That's what we're trying to do. So the best way to hear a melody is to listen to your favourite songs. Okay, so you can do exercises like ear training exercises through apps, and they're okay. And you can sort of, like the ones you get on a website, and they say play a tone, and then what's that tone? And you can sort of try to either click it on the screen or say what it is. Those type of exercises. That's fine, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to train our fingers to move up and down to that melody, right? So those exercises are a nice trick, a party trick. If someone goes, oh, what's that? You can just name this chord or name the, the interval. But it's not going to really help you play unless you do that in conjunction with your hands, right? So there are some good apps out there that you can do this stuff. But really the best approach that have found, right, because it's boring just to listen to a tone and do it. It's a bit boring. It's more fun to learn a song. So you might as well pick your favourite songs and start working off those. And, because you remember as a kid you would sort of listen to a song and you come to the piano if you had a piano at home and you try to work out the song, It's a natural thing that we want to do, It's a lot of fun. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be listening, and I'm going to give you an example now. We're going to go through a song right now. Okay, so let's get on with the exercise. All right, so what we're going to do is, what we'll be doing is we'll be listening to Chordify. So, and we'll start here. Now, I hope I don't get a copyright strike. I'm sure I'll be right. Maybe I didn't treat you. Okay, and now what we're listening for here is, so our ear is listening for the melodic movement, right? Up and down, all right? Maybe I didn't treat you. And what's going to help us with that? So that's going to happen naturally, but now we've got to create other memory associations, all right? And one of them is where the word lines up with the chord. So you can see treat you. So we start on the chord G, and the word treat you lines up with the D. So now if we go to back to, well, we haven't seen that yet. So I'm going to go to my word. What we're going to do is, and I've got to bring that down here. I'm juggling a few things now because I'm doing all this by myself. So I'm clicking away to make sure that everything shows up correctly for you on the video. All right, so I've lined up. Maybe I didn't love you. Well, this line actually here can be swapped. It doesn't really matter because sometimes Elvis sings that. So this is a Word document, right? So I can edit this now. And I'm going to make these available at my store. So and then I'll go, maybe I didn't treat you, and then love you can get moved down to this one, right? And I've already just started putting some numbers in here, but what I'll do is I'll just erase that for now, right? Because we start with this, right? So the first step that we have to do, and I've done this for you, that's why it's a bit easier to have someone do this for you, and then you can just concentrate on actually just listening and writing down. But we're going to be writing down the numbers under the word. So we've got to make sure that the word is lined up. So let's start here straight away. So we'll go back to chordify. So we go to chordify like that. And I have to bring it up here too for me to use it. So I'll just bring that up a little bit. Oh no, it's probably there, it's fine. And let's have another listen. Maybe I didn't treat you. Now, we're trying to work it out on the piano, right? So we've got to find the first note. That's the first thing. Oh, there it is, right? But what you'll do is you'll listen and then you'll go, oh yeah. Maybe I didn't treat you. Okay, so you're listening there. Maybe I didn't. Now what we're listening here is, when we're listening for the melodic movement going up and down, right? So when we're just listening, and we're going to play it and then we're going to stop it. So we're going to play it. Maybe I didn't treat you. And then we're going to stop it, right? And then we're going to come down and work it out. Now we can hear that it's going up and down. So that's what we're focusing on, right? While we're trying to work it out with our fingers. Right? And that's one of the learning processes, right? To do it. And now we're going to create another memory association. That what we've just done there, that's the melodic interval movement. We don't have to worry about remembering movement, right? That we're going down, going down the road and turning left down this street, down that street, right? We don't have to remember that. What we want to do now is we're going to create an association with a chord. So the chord here is, we start on G and there's the bass note, right? Didn't. And then we listen that. Now, I know that's a 6/5. I can listen and go 6/5. Now that would be hard to describe melodically. It's hard to be saying, well, it's a tone up, 2 tones up, then it's just a semitone, a tone, back to a tone, back to a semitone, and then the same note, and then back. It'll be hard to describe it like that, right? But when you have a reference and multiple references, it's easier. So maybe I didn't, and it's just rising and falling. So I can go 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, and then D 6, 5. And then what happens is you remember that and you make that association in your head that it's a 6/5. It's a 6/5, right? So it's like you've created a little chunk of memory. And you've got a reference point now for your memory. It's a 6/5, 6/5. You're remembering that. Rather than remembering, when we remember a melody, we're just remembering the melodic movement, right? Up, down, and that. And we're very good at that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to communicate. But now, because of that we have a reference and a note, we can also use that now to remember as well. And that's more conscious, right? So our subconscious is going to work our hand. Our conscious is going to hear the harmonic intervals, right? So 6/5, and then it goes to the E minor. So, and I can hear that going 3, 4, 5. So it's a minor third though, right? Not as good as I. But when you're listening, I know that because now I have a bass note, right? And I can hear those intervals too. But also, right, I can focus now on the melodic movement when I'm listening to the song. Quite as good as I should have. Quite as good as I should have. So it's rising and falling. Quite as good as I should have. And then that, I know over C, that's going to be a 5/3. So there's two things. When we're trying to work out the melody initially, we want to listen for that melodic movement. But eventually what happens is that becomes so natural that you no longer have to actually focus on that. Your hand will just find that melodic movement because we are good at doing that, right? But now we have to create these memory associations with the harmonics, right? So it's E, so C, good have, good have. And now when we learn these in terms of a reference note, a bass note and a high note, right? We're creating like little landmarks. So we don't have to rely on our serial memory. We can break up the serial memory by having little landmarks, and the chords become our landmarks, right? And we can start to remember things as chunks, right? Rather than having to go from the beginning to the end, we can now remember songs with those little chunks, right? And you'll get very good at this, and you'll learn songs very quickly with this method. Right? But the process you go through is now you have to write it down. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the Word document, right? So we've listened to that. We've listened to that a few times, right? And you're listening, you come back. And you just listen enough to do the exercise. So let's come back to Word over here. There we go. All right. So now what we want to do is once we have our Word document, this font, by the way, is Courier New because it's an evenly spaced font and you can line everything up. So I'll have these already lined up for you. Right? So when you purchase the, I'll probably have a few of these. I might even have like 30 of them or something in one pack. So you can just, and I'll probably give the document. So it'll be just one Word document and you can just go edit it yourself or print it out. You can either do it on the computer or just print it out and write it down. So, all right, so here we go. 3, 4, 5. So you're going to write 3 and you're going to line it all up. Maybe I... 5, didn't. Now, this process of doing this is really good development for your ear. Didn't, right? And you're really listening and focusing in on where these notes are changing to and what they are and what they're called in the harmonic intervals, right? Maybe I didn't 6/5 treat you. It's a 6/5 treat you. So you go 6. Now, you only ever have to do this for probably about 10 or 20 songs, right? So it's like learning to crawl before you can walk. This is like, and then you will never need to do this again because you'll find that you'll be so good at picking up the melody with your right hand, you can just focus on learning the song, and perfecting how to play the song, and you won't be too concerned. A little bit you'll be working it out, but you'll remember it easier too. We're training our brain to remember as well these things by creating these associations. And there's a few of them too, not just if you've read some of that section before of the website, there's flow as well. The melodies moving up and down. There's a few different ones. All right, so now whenever we see the E minor, that comes first before so the chord comes first here, right? Maybe I didn't, and then that hits together. Treat you. Then the E minor comes first. Quite as good as and that's just rising and falling again, right? Quite as good as a 3, 4, 5. So we'd write that down. Would come here and go, and it's a -3, right? It's not a major, so quite. So it's quite 4, 5. Quite as. Now, whether I want that D there or not, right, I'll show you the difference. We could leave that out. But if we didn't have that there, it would just be coming up and down, right? It'll be going quite as good as I could have. Or we could go quite as good as I could have. Now, I like that because it's a 6/5 resolution. It matches this 6/5 resolution here, right? Now, you might want to not have it there and just have it once because you could be overdoing it, or maybe not have it at the beginning. So let's try that. We could go, maybe I didn't. It really needs it, right? Maybe I. Now, whenever you see a comma, right, there's no timing with this, right? There's no timing information here. That's something you just develop for yourself in your head. But if you see a comma, it means there's a little bit of a pause. So it's a little bit of a timing information, but you don't really need it. Maybe I didn't treat you. Yeah, I think I do. It definitely needs that there. I think quite as good as I should have. And I don't think it needs it the second time. Quite as good as I should have. Now, I'm not sure if the piece has it because I think I got these from a different source. But what you do, I've got to make sure that I choose the same source too. But if I go back to quarter-fi and then I just do this here, I've got to always double check. So he's got the D here. As good as I should. No. He's just got a 7th there. He just puts in the 7th. So E minor. And that's just a that's just a harmonizing note. It's not that minor 7, right, is the D, okay? And it's just a harmonizing, right? So it adds nothing to the actual melody itself. Right? It's nice, but it's another interval in the harmony, right? Now the should have was the 5-5-3 should have. So this piece doesn't have it. So what I'll do is I'll be true to this piece and the link. So that was the link I supplied with the exercise up here. So what I'll do is I piss that off. I piss the D off anyway. Yeah, the second D up here. Oh, actually, I don't even have it here on the exercise. So that's good. So we go back to the, that was the website. Now this is the Word document. So yeah, I'll get rid of it up here. I mean, you could have had it there, but no, we'll just leave it. Right? Quite as good. So the good is the 5. And we'll come rolling back down as, and then the minus 3. Now I usually put the minus. I try to line the letter up with the interval up with the letter and put the minus. I don't want it to ever touch like that because I think it looks too crowded. But you can always just put a space, you know, have a bit of a space. I don't, as long as it's got a space here, I don't, you know. A lot of this is a visual thing too. You get used to the way you present it anyway, so you could do it different ways. Now, sometimes I used to have space here, you know, because it was easier to sort of visualize. But eventually what we want to do is not reduce the crutch of looking at it anyway. So, and eventually you get rid of the numbers altogether, right? So, you know, this is just the process of crawling before you're walking, right? Now, I still do this on, say, a bit more complex songs. If it's like a piece of classical music and it's a hard classical music, you might want to put some intervals down, right? But a lot of the times you'll find that you'll learn it anyway, you know, and you're not really looking at the intervals. You're just looking at the chords. Okay, so where are we up to? So quite as good as we should have. So that's 5-3 for there. So it's a 5 resolving down to the 3, 5-3. Okay, so that's that line. So then with the second line, we've got a bit of a change here. So the A, right? The A is where it comes out of key, and it's always good to know when it comes out of key because you get to learn all the little tricks that composers do to make a song a bit more interesting. And I have these in my book, a list of these. So, all right, so what we're going to do here is you're going to find that this is going to be the same, but we might have a filler note somewhere. I think we do. So let's go back to there. So maybe and then we just see if this lines up, right? Maybe I didn't love you again. Then E minor, and then I'll bring that over one, and then bring that back. Quite as often. Okay, we have an often here. We have a D in there, right? And I think that's going to be a 6-5 often. So what we're going to do, which is going to be similar to that, we're going to check. No, it's going to sound. I know it's going to sound nice because you can just do it by your ear, right? But I'll check if the actual original song, that particular version, has it. So then you go back to quarter-fi. And again, I have to be careful of the process here each time. Word. Oh, what am I looking at? Browser. Okay, and then back to quarter. So that's my website. In my website, I have it. I've put it in the website, so I'm not sure if the piece has it. So let's play it. Now, I'm not sure how long I can play this before I get a copyright strike, or even if I can play the whole thing. So there's no D. So often they would be here where it says E minor with that seventh, right? Often, we know it's a 6/5 over the D, often. Now you realise that the D works because E minor with a seventh does have the same note D in it, right? So if I had E minor with a seventh, right, so often, so we'll get back to the song again, and I'll explain that again. So there's too many clicking here trying to get back and forth. I need a producer to do these videos. Our little studio, I have to do everything. So it makes it a bit harder, right? Now, if this video goes on a bit longer, I don't care. Just let it go on longer. I'm having fun here anyway. If no one's watching it, I don't know. But all right, so where are we? Okay, so it was just here, right? So the D here, right? You know, it's not really that necessary, right? So maybe I didn't love you. Now, also singing creates another memory association. And even if you think you can't sing, this process of singing to and following what you're doing with your hand is actually going to train your voice, and your brain will automatically bring your vocals into pitch. And you have muscles there too. You need to exercise them, right? So anyone can sing if they train their vocals to sing. And then it's just trying to make yourself sound better by adding the right amount of harmonics. You know, you might sound too nasally. I've got a bit of nasal issues, so I always sound a little nasally when I try to put some higher frequencies in. To prevent that, you've got to try to get the air coming out of your mouth rather than through your nose. You still use your naval cavity to make the sound. So it's all about mucking around with the inside cavity of your mouth to put in those resonance. But it's not a music lesson, a singing lesson. Maybe I didn't treat you A minor quite as often. I do like that. So that's a 6/5. Often as so that's not going to work. So often as I could have. Now you can hear that, right? So we're coming out of key. Normally that would be a minor could have, but it sounds so great coming out of key on. But where are we? We're on a seventh. Could have. So it's a minor seventh down to the 5. So here we're going to put a minor 7. Down to the 5. Right, and I'll just move that over just so it sort of lines up. And that's going to be there. As I could have. So that's really nice. Could have. Right? So it's done a key change right at the end of the phrase, right? And it wants you to take you somewhere else now. So it's a good way to bridge out, to get out and go into the bridge, right? So he's stayed in key for most of the song, except that last bit where we're going to come out. So we just check that all these are lined up now. So we'll start on here. Quite as often. So that's going to be often is going to be the 6/5. So often we're going to put a 6, and the 5 is just going to go often here, like that. Often, get rid of that. All right, so now that we have everything lined up, could have, and you make sure that everything is lined up, because if it's not lined up and you're trying to learn this, right, your eyes, you're looking at it, right, and subconsciously, if something's not lined up, even though you're not particularly focused on that particular one thing, it could make you make mistakes. You're subconsciously looking at some error, and I know I've done this before, right? That this was sort of wrong number, or this was over here, or something was wrong. That when I was trying to learn it for the first time, a song, that why is this? Why am I doing this? And then I realised, oh, that's actually should be there, and it really helps. It does help to have everything lined up, right? It makes things quicker. Now, you have to go through this process yourself. I'm not going to be supplying these numbers. If you want it for at least, I don't think I ever will, because you need to actually go through these steps to crawl before you walk. But I'll have plenty of all my songbook pro sets don't have these numbers, right? And you can't really enter them with Songbook Pro, which is that tablet app, because they don't line up. They don't line up. Like the chords with the words will line up. It's really nice how it works. It just lines up the word with the chord. But if you add another line, it doesn't seem to line up in Songbook Pro. So it'll be nice if it did. But yeah, you only need to do this about 10 or 20 songs, and then you should be okay. And maybe just some harder songs. Anyway, so we've done the first 2 lines. So let's look at the bridge now. So with the bridge, what we'd do is we'd go back to the song. All right, so I'm going to click Kenny. Producer. I need a producer. I need someone with a, I used to work in TV years ago, for 10 years. The mixer guys, the vision mixers. Where am I? What am I doing? All right, so we're going to listen now to the next bit of the song. We finally got to this thing. Little things I should have said. There's the bridge, right? So we came out of that A. Little things I should have said and done. So when I'm listening for that, the first thing I'm going to listen to, right, is little things I should have said. Little things I should have said and done. So it's doing some up and then down. Little things I should have said and done. Right? So it's doing something there, but your hand will know. Your ear might not be able to say it exactly what intervals they're doing, but your hand will know when it puts it down, and especially when you give it. So we come out of the A. So the A, we'll go back to, we'll just go here. That was the 7, right? Could have 7 5s. Could have. So it was a 1. So once you have that reference note of 1, it's a 1, then I know it's going to be 1 2 3, right? Little things I should have done, and then it's 3 1 3, yeah, right? So it's finding that starting point. Little thing. Now you realise that okay, it's gone high. Well, a common thing is a 1 high. It's a 1 high. There's a 3 high is also very common, right? So if it's going to go high and you're on a C, it's very likely it could be a 1. It could be anything, but it sounds like a 1. An octave. It's a bit harder octaves to pick sometimes because it's not really an interval, it's an octave interval, but it's the same note, right? So it's harder to discern, right, the same note than it is another note. See how that stands out more than that? It's easier to pick these notes. And then you get to the 5th is smooth, and then the octave's smooth. They're a bit harder to discern sometimes. But what you do know, it's smooth. So if it's smooth, well, it's going to be either an octave or a 5th. So that's how you find it, Oh, it's smooth. Oh, okay. And you're listening for that sound. So, so when we're trying to work it out, we want to just first work out if it's going up and down, and then we're going to have extra help by going 1. And as soon as we have our landmark, C1, as soon as we know it's the first on C, we've got a reference point now, right? A new reference point. So we don't have to follow the whole song from start to beginning. We've got a new reference point, a new little chunk, and what's the little pattern? Think of it as a little pattern. Little things I should have said. So, little things I should have done. So it's just a little pattern, right? So it's on the C. Little things, it's 1 2 3, right? Little things I should have. So, Elvis is pretty easy, really, and he doesn't do anything too interesting. His vocals were, I think, there's a little challenge with his vocals, but he couldn't do huge jumps, like jump up here, jump down there, and so a lot of his songs, it just goes like rises up and down. I used to like Elvis. I mean, I still do. I think these songs are, pretty nice, but they are simple songs. It's 3-1-3. All right, so where are we up to? Okay, so we're just listening for that. So we know now.
Little things I should have said and done.
I hope I don't get copyright for this video, because this is a lot of work doing this video, and then you're going to get a copyright strike. And so, all right, I've really got to get a producer going here. This is ridiculous. Okay, where are we now? What did I click then? All right, so we're back here. We're back on Word. I'm on Word. Okay, good. Oh, so we're doing the bridge, right? So it was the 1, right? It was the high 1. So you'd put a 1 here. You'd come here under the line. Why doesn't it click there? I think Word got worse. It used to be good back when it was back in the 90s. If I made you feel... So it's rising and falling, right? If I 2, 1, 2, 3. If I 3, and it's a major third, made you feel. Oh, what am I? My eyes. Because I got these glasses. Feel. If I made you feel. Back to the 1. Second best. 3, 1, 3. Like that. 3 second. So line it all up. 3, 1 best. 3. So we're not only just learning a song, right? We're learning little blocks of patterns, which is going to help you with hundreds of other songs, because you're going to recognize those patterns, right? And it makes it the process for learning the next song a bit easier, and then the next song. So, when you're up to the 1,000th song, you're going to go learn 1,000 of them. I tell you, it's easy to remember 100. It's if you do this process, right? Because you eventually won't need to do this. Right? Perfecting the songs is a different story altogether, but being able to work it out fairly quickly will be routine for you, and eventually you just perfect the song. All right. Where am I? So so there could have been another word there, but it's I know that's a 6 there, so I'll put a 6 there, right? I'll go here and go 6. But you listen to the song and you work it out. Does that right? So when we're single note, we're just the melodic movement. So it's just going up and down. The harmonic movement now is C, it's a 6. There's a 6. And you can hear, see how it's a dissonant sound? It's a bit smoother. I love 6s. I'm so. So, there should be a so. Does he say so? I'm so sorry. I'm sure there is. Or is it just, I'm sorry I was. When you have other notes, right, it's usually to compensate for the timing, of the piece. You might have to add that little word or whatever. But sorry. I think he's just pausing, right? He's just pausing. I'm sorry I was blind. Because sometimes you don't have to have words on every single beat, sometimes the pause is nice, So I would probably put a comma there, just like that. I'm sorry I was blind. So we're not worried about the timing, like with the exact timing, it's a semiquaver, it's here and over a clock. It's ridiculous. Or you have to just know, there's a bit of a pause there. And your hands will flow into the groove anyway, right? Especially if you start playing with Chordify. You play your song while Chordify is playing. You'll get very good at timing, right? And chord recognition. So, okay, what are we doing? I'm sorry. So that sorry is a 4-3 there. Really nice. Sorry, I was blind, and then resolves to the 1. So we come here, and that's a 4-3. 4-3, 6-5, very common. So, and they're sort of similar because it's sort of resolving. It's resolving from something more dissonant down to something a bit less dissonant. So where are we? Sorry. Oh, where are we? 6 is. I'm sorry. 6 for 4. Yeah, 4-3. Sorry, I was. And that's just 2-1, right? Sorry, I was. And then 1 blind. And then the D is the 5. So it's a 1. And it's the same note, right? It's the same note, so you don't really put a 5 there because that's saying just strike it twice. So if you're playing 1, it's the same note, 5. But you could play it. You were always. Oh, that you were always. Oh, we're on D, right? Yeah. See, we're getting ready now. We've changed chords. So blind, and then D. You were always on my. Remember that exercise, the doubling and tripling? I don't know if you remember it, but on my website, I've got exercises, doubling, and we're doing this. That's a very common in songs. Doubling is one of the most common ones in pop songs and in classical. You were always on my... And it's a beautiful transition. You were always on my... You were always on my mind. Like that, you see? You were... So this is a classic. This is a classic doubling. And we found it in a song. So we go... So it's a 5-5. You were all... 6-6. Always on. So you were always on mine. And then we've got we got the C minor 7 there, right? We're on D minor 7. On my mind. So with this minus, I usually I'll put it there. Whoop. And then I'll go. So I'm showing you the process, right, of how you learn songs. And again, you just have to do about 10 of these or 20 of these, and you won't have to do this again. Go through the pain. But it's actually fun. I actually really enjoyed doing this. So, I used to. I don't do it often now because it slows you down now. It slows me down now to do this. Right? It's easier. I just listen and work it out, right? But you've got to get to that stage. And goes to the 5, right? 5. And then the chord changes to C. Ways, and then that's a minor 7. You were, so that's a 5 again. You were, and a doubling again. We're doing the doubling, so that's a 5. You were, and that's a minor 7. Doubling, all. And if you don't have a little room, I usually I'll put a dash there if I've got a minor 7, because sometimes you just don't have the room. I don't want to clunk that 2 together. It looks a bit messy. Always. You are always on my... And we're coming down. 6, 5. Again, that resolution. 6, 5. 6, 5, and then it's going to be 1, resolving to 1, right? Coming home. Now we're in the key of what key are we? A key of G, right? All right. So I'm going to stop it there, I think, because I think we've covered it all, and you can do the next bit yourself. All those lonely, lonely times. So That's the process. That's the process of how to learn a song. Okay. So you look out for the blues because they give you a lot of information. Right? So I'll have these highlighted, and I'll have at my store. I'll make a list of these. I don't know how many, maybe 20, 30. What I'll do is I'll if you go to my website now, so we're good. I'll just go back to the website. Okay, and I better click that. So this is under courses. So this is under, this particular one is under lesson 25, right? But with a song analysis, always on my mind, I'm going to put that in my pop section. It might be my next song after the Elton John. That one's still in construction. And what I'll do is I'll have links. Well, what I'll do is I follow a list of songs. So in my website right now, in my store right now. So if I pop to my store, which is I'll just go straight there now, right? So if I go to my store and you go to the shop and you click Songbook Pro, I've already put up a list, and I've got I think I put 16 songs on this list. If I click it, right? If you don't have Songbook Pro, it's a tablet app. I think it cost me $11 and it was a one-off price. When I go to the website, they've got this monthly thing, so they might offer something more, but I'm pretty sure it's a one-off price. Well, I definitely know I paid a one-off price of $11, which was really great value for the power of what this thing can do. And it brings in songs automatically. You search with this app and it gets the song from Ultimate Guitar Tabs, brings it in, and then you can edit it. You can change anything of the song, any chords and words, and change the key so easily. It's a top app. So I'm creating, here's a list there, all right. So now I don't know what songs people like. These songs I like, so I'm going to, haven't got any requests yet. So if you request a song and you want me to learn it, I can start to make a list of songs that people want to learn, right? Because some of these are pretty old, and I'm pretty old, so, and I like a lot of these songs. So I'm going to put this in my list. So I'm just going to go down this list. Your song, always on my mind. So that's what we're doing now. Annie's song. A lot of these are really not Careless Whisper, Delilah. So this might change, this list, right? So this is my set. But what I might offer too with the same price, this is only $5 to get the set, but what I'll put in here as well as Songbook Pro, I might bundle it up with the PDF of the actual songs already broken down, and the Word document of all the songs, right? So you'll be ready just to write the numbers. So by the end of this list of songs, right, if you work out the melodies yourself and write them down, you're going to get very good at doing that. And it really doesn't take that many songs to do. And then we move on. You move on to not needing those numbers. Okay, that's all, I guess. And there's my that's it. I've been doing a lot of work on my website too, so that's really coming along. Right, so go watch my new video over here as well. This is an introduction to this how my whole system's linked together. Right, so my website, my shop, my book, everything is synced together, and my YouTube channel. So once I get I usually start with my website, and I like this lesson, for instance, and then things will make their way into the book. Or sometimes I'll grab my book. I've already got a lot of information in there and create lessons from my book, but I'll make sure they're all synced. So watch this video and it shows you how all that works. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.